Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer. The feature race at beautiful Belmont Park on Saturday is the Grade 2 Sands Point Stakes for 3-year-old fillies going 9 furlongs on the inner turf. It's a race, it's a card you can bet with a new DRF Bets account. Sign up and receive a 300% deposit match at bets.drf.com. Here's the field for the Grade 2 Sands Point. $400,000 is the purse. Again, 3-year-old fillies going 1 1/8 on the inner turf. Chad Brown is the morning line favorite in a first-time import. That's the #1 Barca, who kept some pretty heavy company in her last 2 races in France. The 1,000 Guineas and the French Oaks, a race that's come back super live.
Yeah, I mean, she's just kept really good company, as you say. I mean, they didn't switch her to turf until April this year, her first turf start in that Group 3. It was heavy ground, but she was much the best that day. She got a perfect trip in that race, but she was also much the best in there. I think right after that race is when she was purchased by Allen Stable, Peter Brandt. So you knew it was only a matter of time before she wound up in Chad Brown's barn. Here she is. Dan, I thought she ran fine in the 2 big Group 1s. It feels like maybe those races were just a little bit too tough for her, but there's no shame in that. Those are very good horses, and now she ships over here. I mean, I guess I get her as the morning line favorite in this race, but she's just not one of those Chad Brown imports that I'm going to be running to the windows to bet on.
I thought she ran okay in that 1,000 Guineas. She was kind of in traffic in the mid-straight. They altered her down towards the rail, and they just outran her the last half a furlong. Last time out in the French Oaks, I think she was just overmatched, as you mentioned. The 3rd-place horse came back to win a Group 3 stakes. The 5th-place horse came back to win the Group 1 pre-Rothschild. The 10th-place horse came back to win a Group 2 stakes. I mean, those are legitimately good 3-year-old fillies. It's possible she's found the right spot, but she's going to be a short price, and I agree with you. There are some other interesting horses in this race. Chad's got a much better priced import right next door. That's the #2 Shadon, who's also going to add Lasix for the first time. She won a little listed stakes last time out in France. The 3rd horse came back to finish 2nd in a similar listed event. She certainly didn't face the kind of competition that Barca faced.
She just doesn't seem like she's as good a horse as that one. We'll see what happens. I guess if you like her, maybe her advantage in this race is she is one of those European fillies who has speed. I mean, in her last race, they just put her right on the front in that race. She got loose, controlled the pace the entire way, just held on at the end. Going a little further, though, maybe the shorter distance works for her. Obviously, when you're talking about 9 furlong races on the Belmont inner turf, early position is really at a premium. She should get one because she has some speed. We'll see where she winds up in the early running. I didn't think she was as good as the other Chad horse, but maybe the trips make the difference.
If she breaks, and that's always a question with European imports, I think she's in front, because you look at the rest of this field and there's nothing but closers, and it accomplishes 2 things for Chad. Maybe she's good enough to wire the field, or at least set a legitimate enough pace for his other 2 horses. Barca and the 4 reversed the decision. Now, reversed the decision won over Yielding Going at Saratoga last time out. Boy, I thought she got a great setup. I thought that pace collapsed.
It did. I mean, it was a really soft turf course. I think you saw a bunch of horses really not show up in there, and you're right, the pace fell apart at the end. On the other hand, she was way the best in there. She was way the best when she broke her maiden at Aqueduct a couple of starts back. The Monmouth race, I didn't think it was a super strong effort, but she had a tough post in there. She was wide the entire way. The horse that she couldn't run down was on a really good streak at that time. I think there's upside with this horse. I think she is pretty good. I also feel like this Sands Point came up really tough, and she's going to have to improve to win it.
I think the 3 Caplet Temptress has a huge chance to win this race for trainer Belmont. She showed her quality last year, winning the Grade 1 Natalma at Woodbine, and I think it's taken her a couple of races to get back. She ran really well in that French 1,000 Guineas. Last time out in the Lake Placid, Rushing Fall got the jump on her. Rushing Fall's probably just a better horse than she is. Caplet Temptress was kind of at the back of the pack. She swung widest, but I like the run she made. She was easily 2nd best, and I think she can build off of that effort. It's just about what kind of trip she can get, because she's kind of turned into a 1-run closer.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm with you. I thought she ran well last time. I liked her last time. I probably should have gone back to her in this race, because I feel like this is a better spot for her. I thought, listen, she wasn't going to beat Rushing Fall anyway, so at the end of the day, none of it really matters. She finished right where she was going to finish. I thought maybe she got a little bit of an over-conservative ride from Leperu. He really didn't get into her until the stretch, and then I thought she came with a good finish in there. 2nd best, that's where she was going to be. Her race 2 starts back, had a little bit of trouble in the upper stretch there, couldn't get through on the inside. I thought she ran well that day. As you mentioned, the French 1,000 Guineas, I thought she ran well in that race too. This is a good horse. In a lot of ways, we'll see what happens with the 3 new imports in this race. In a lot of ways, I think she's the horse to beat.
Talk about being a 1-run closer. Secret message should be absolutely last if she tries to run her last 2 races. I thought she she had trouble in the regret. She was in some traffic in mid-stretch, and it set her up quite nicely for the pucker-up stakes. A stakes that had a legitimate pace up front, but she came with a good, solid run. The horse that she beat, Pamina, came back to run a stinker, although it was at Kentucky Downs, and some horses just don't handle that surface. This is kind of the acid test. We'll find out how good Secret Message is, but without pace, I'm not sure if we'll see that same kind of kick.
I agree with that. I mean, I don't know what she can really do in here unless they're going to, try and change her running style a little bit. She showed a little bit of speed on synthetic in her prior start, her last start for a prior connection. So we'll see what happens. But based on the way she's run her last 2 races, I mean, this is a good field of horses. You're going to have to pass them all through the stretch. It's not going to be an easy thing for her to do. Graham
Motion trains Secret Message. He also trains Colonia. I liked Colonia's North American debut, that Hot Tooth Stakes, where she was far back down towards the inside. She angled widest turning into the stretch, and she just ate up those horses in the lane. I expected a big effort in the Del Mar Oaks, and I didn't get it. I know she didn't break very well, but again, she's going to be coming from the back no matter how she breaks.
She might have even less speed than Secret Message does. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with these 2 horses. I think they're both pretty good, but they're also both way up against it with their running style.
Let's talk about our top pick for the Sands Point Stakes. You like the other European entrant in this field. That's the number 5, Victorine, another listed stakes winner at 1.25 miles. I liked her effort last time out in that Group 3 going 1.25 miles, and I think she has some upside, and I think she'll be the best price by far of the imports.
And that played into my decision to put her on top because I think she will be the best price of the imports in here. I also like the fact that she shows real good positional speed over there. She's not one of those horses who who gets outrun early. She keeps right up close track in the pace. I like her last 3 races. Last time maybe that was just a little too tough for her, but that race was wired by a horse who was pretty good, and she just got a little tired at the end. I thought she ran fine. Her races 2 and 3 back, I mean, she was way the best in those races. I'm hoping she can get close to the pace in here, not get outrun early, and then maybe get the jump on some of the other closes in here. I think she might be good enough to beat this field.
For me, it was a toss-up on the win end between Capletentris and California Gold Rush. What swayed me the most about California Gold Rush wasn't the big buyer improvement last time out off the layoff in the Del Mar Oaks, but the positional speed she showed off a moderate pace 2 starts back. I think there's a very good chance that she will be sitting second off Shadan in the early portion of this race. And if Shadan doesn't class up, maybe California Gold Rush sweeps to the front turning into the stretch and plays Catch Me If You Can. You liked her last time out in the Del Mar Oaks at 16-1 off an extended layoff. She ran well, certainly to improve her buyer by 15 points, but something tells me you were just a little bit disappointed in the effort.
I mean, I think all things considered, you can't really knock her performance. She comes off a long layoff for her 3-year-old debut in a Grade 1 race and finishes 3rd. Overall, I thought she got a good trip in that race. She never really was able to make a race of it. She got first run on Fatal Beret and got outfinished by the rest pretty easily. I just wanted to see her run a little bit better, but obviously she takes even a small step forward in here. She's a huge player. I loved her last 2 races as a 2-year-old. I thought she was great in those races. I think there's a lot of upside here. I thought about putting her on top. I wound up putting her 3rd. She's a horse I'm definitely using.
But again, this could really become a tactical race. Mike's going with Victorine, one of the French imports. 5-3-7-1 for Mike, 7-1-3-5 for me in the Grade 2 Sands Point Stakes, a race you can play with your DRF Bets account and the 300% deposit match that goes along with it. Deposit 50, bet with 200 at bets.drf.com. Approximate post time for the Grade 2 Sands Point, 5:53 Eastern. Good luck.